Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Jim Yancey and I'm a Chief Financial Officer at The Hartford. And I'm thrilled to welcome you today to today's webinar, Harnessing Generative AI in Leadership. The rapid rise of generative AI is reshaping industries at an unprecedented pace, offering both transformative opportunities and complex challenges for today's leaders. As executives, understanding how to navigate this evolving landscape is no longer optional, it's essential. In this session, we'll break down the foundational concepts of generative AI and explore practical strategies that can drive measurable value across your organization. Today's session will equip you with the knowledge and perspective needed to make informed strategic decisions. You'll gain actionable insights to lead your teams more effectively in the age of AI. We're so glad to have you with us today and hope you leave inspired, informed, and ready to lead your organization into the future. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Miguel Martinez, a senior technical specialist for data and AI at Microsoft. Miguel brings over 8 years of experience in creating innovative AI solutions for multi-million-dollar initiatives across the United States, Latin America, and Europe. Through his strategic leadership and deep technical expertise, he has led cross-functional teams in developing and implementing machine learning and large language models that have generated over 10 million in sales revenue. His AI expertise drives business transformation by aligning advanced AI technologies with strategic goals to produce meaningful value for organizations and people. Welcome, Miguel.
Hello, Jim. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Miguel. Loud and clear.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining today. Like Jim said, my name is Miguel Martinez. Today, I'm very happy to talk to you about AI in leadership. As business leaders, how you can leverage AI to drive value for your organizations and for you as an individual. I'm gonna cover 2 segments today, followed by a Q&A. First of all, I want to go through some myths and realities on generative AI, and then I'm gonna go over some main opportunities for value in the era of AI. After this, we'll go into a Q&A session, so if there is any thoughts or any questions in your head, absolutely tell us, and if we have time, very happy to go over all of that. I am gonna get started with myths and realities on generative AI. Myth number 1, it's too early for generative AI. It's all a hype. I feel like every time you go to LinkedIn, you're gonna see someone saying something, and this is some of the comments that sometimes you might see out there of like, oh, it's all a hype, or oh, it's all noise, or oh, it's just way too early. And the reality is, generative AI is producing massive business value today. Yes, there are many limitations. Yes, there are things it cannot do. Yes, there are things that people are still working on improving to trying to get it better. But overall, it has tremendous capabilities for delivering value across organizations and people. We are seeing studies that for every $1 that businesses invest in generative AI, they realize an average return of $3.7. You see that massive return for the different projects and applications related to generative AI that organizations implement. As a business leader, if you are evaluating the implementation of AI pilots and projects, recognize that many organizations today are driving massive investments, massive returns from their investments. Furthermore, studies also show that in 2025, 25% of companies that use generative AI will have launched agentic AI pilots. You might be familiar with AI agents. Maybe a few years ago, 2022, 2023, we had generative AI that can write and understand and summarize things. Well, the latest technologies now, it's about agentic AI. AI that can not only understand things, but it can look through data and search files and take actions and make decisions and do that, all of that in an autonomous way with minimum user input. Of course, there are limitations. It's not going to do the entire end-to-end process for you, and you still want to have guardrails and security and monitoring on that. But in general, you see more and more autonomous agents creating more things and bringing more capabilities to enterprises and to organizations. And this is estimated to grow. The same study shows that in 2027, this will grow to 50% of companies that are currently using AI that will be launching agentic AI pilots. So we're seeing that more and more people are trying some of the latest technologies, including AI agents. Myth number 2, driving value from AI has no challenges. It's easy peasy, you just go there and you get the value right out of the box. The reality is there are challenges, and if you address them, that will unlock significant value. As a leader, it's both about recognizing the opportunity, recognizing the value ahead of you, but also understanding and addressing challenges so that you can really get the value out of all of your AI implementations. There are studies that show that only 30% of generative AI pilots make it into full production. You can imagine there is a funnel of, well, maybe people have these many ideas, and then out of those ideas, only this many end up being a pilots, and out of those pilots, only this many ended up actually being in production, driving value. And that's actually a common question that I get. We're like, well, Miguel, if only 30% of pilots make it into production, what's causing this? What are the things that we should watch out for in order when we're implementing these production pilots? And there is a variety of things to watch out for. If you want to really be AI ready, you should absolutely pay attention to, number 1, your data foundation. At the end of the day, AI is based on your data. The data that you have, that is what really brings AI to life. Sure, the model can be very smart and very capable and very powerful, but if it doesn't understand your data, your situation, your customers, it's going to be very hard to get value from it. If you can get your data state ready, so anywhere from your databases to your files to your data systems at the enterprise level to at the individual level, how do I get the AI to understand me, understand my preferences, my circumstances, what I like, what I don't like? If you can get that data foundation ready, the AI will really shine for you. Number 2 is the system integration. Going back to the enterprise side, I often hear organizations thinking about, well, I have the AI now, how do I put it together with my system? How do I put it together with my company and processes and software? And that's where the magic really happens. Because if you can integrate your AI successfully, then you can really open a lot of doors for the AI to drive value and accomplish things and get things done. And there is a lot of technical details that we are not going to get into today. I'm a big nerd. I could get very nerdy about model context protocol and open API protocols and all of that. But in general, it's just enough to, without getting into all of those very specific technical details, it's just good to understand that, again, well, you could have a very powerful AI, but if you cannot put it together with your systems, it's not going to be that helpful. Versus if you can really enable it to connect to the applications that it is supposed to work with, that will really bring it to life for implementing value. And which brings me to number 3, security and compliance. That's the next step that I usually go into. Well, you can integrate into your system. How do you make it in a secure way? How can you make sure that it is compliant, that there are guardrails, that it is private, that it has all of the security mechanisms across multiple ways for protecting your organization, for protecting your data, for protecting your customers, for protecting every single factor and entity that is part of your workflow. And all of this is crucially important. So spending time thinking about how do I implement all of those protections, how I implement monitoring for the model, how can I validate it to make sure that it's really performing the way I want to, and it is protected against bad people out there trying to mess around with it. And again, there are many nerdy technical details, from monitoring to prompt shields to jailbreaking to VNets, that we're not going to get into today. But if you as a leader can put time into having this security and safety first thing front and center in your mind, that will really enable you to implement this in production, to have secure, responsible, compliant AI. And then the final one is skills and development. Because again, you could have a lot of data and a lot of integrations and a very secure system, but if you don't have your organization and your people and your group knowing and understanding how to use this AI and how to drive value and how to implement it, it's going to be very hard to actually get value from it. And this is certainly a difficult challenge because AI is advancing so quickly. It seems like every day there is a new announcement about a new model and a new technology and a new API and this and that. It's so overwhelming trying to catch up with anything that happens every day, let alone performance skilling and education in your organization. But this is truly a worthwhile endeavor. If you can get your organization to understand AI, to see the value, to see how they can achieve it, that will really empower them to use it, to make it real, to drive them across the use cases. A lot of times, the most powerful people that I see in using AI, they're not AI experts. They're not AI researchers. They are subject matter experts that really understand their field. Maybe they really understand, for example, medicine or biology. Maybe they understand law and regulations. Maybe they really understand engineering. So they don't know much about AI, but because they really understand the subject matter and the problems and the opportunities, they can really leverage AI to implement that, to solve problems for users. So you don't need to be an expert, you don't need to have a PhD in AI. If you have the basic knowledge and the basic understanding, and you really understand your industry and use cases, that will really empower you to go out there and really make this real and really bring big change in your organization. Which brings me to myth number 3, speaking of change. Myth 3 is change is left effortless. It's easy peasy, just from one day to the other, you can make it and change everything and anything, and it's all gonna happen overnight. When in reality, change is hard. It requires conscious effort, but it's absolutely worth it. It's like change for adopting AI is the same for any other kind of change. Same for any other kind of habit that you will adopt. Like, hey, I wanna go for like a morning run. That's similar to adopting AI. Maybe at first it's new and you don't know how to do it and you feel a little uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more you implement it, the more you can see like, oh, really has a powerful potential for bringing good value for me and my organization. And adoption of AI in organizations comes in multiple layers. You have number one, awareness. A lot of us, many times, people are not even aware of these technologies. They might have heard about ChatGPT, they might have heard of something here and there, but they're not fully aware of the whole spectrum of capabilities. They're not fully aware of everything the AI can do. Especially nowadays that AI advances so quickly, and now you have multimodal AI, and you have groups of agents talking with each other, and AI that can look at images and understand patterns. It advances very quickly. So having that awareness in your organization and in your personal lives is really a great first step to having that adoption of AI. Number two is education. So not only being aware of that, but understanding what it is, how you can use it, and more importantly, what's the value for me? Many times if you, and I say this even for myself, if I see a bunch of information, I can be like, oh, that's fine, but what is it doing for me? What can it do for me? Versus if I understand, okay, this is the benefit that it can bring me, this is how it can help me. That's a really good way to get myself and other people to adopt these AI technologies. Which brings me to the next one, which is use cases. So if you have any examples, any common scenarios, any success stories that can illustrate, oh, this similar organization or group did this, and they tried this way, and they had these amazing results. That is usually a great way to get your organization to see the value, to see the capabilities of the AI, and to adopt them for their own work. And finally is community. If I'm the only one using it, I might use it, but it's harder and it's hard for me to see it and learning it from other people. But if you have a whole group of people using it and collaborating and working with each other and the AI, that's usually fantastic for getting people to really adopt it and to really understand it. Some of the main applications that I have seen for AI in groups is in people working together in meetings. So you might have a meeting, and then the meeting gets recorded, and then there is AI that can give you a summary and the key takeaways and the next steps and who said what. And sometimes I'm working with my team and I'm like, oh, in this meeting, let me check what this person said. And then the person said, oh yeah, I said this. And then they get back to me with another meeting that they were able to summarize with AI. So we have me and other colleagues looking at multiple meetings using AI to summarize and stay up to date and effectively help us be on the same page as each other, help the whole team be updated with what's going on. And that way, AI is helping us be together and accomplish things together. So community really brings it all together for adopting AI in organizations. So as a business leader, if you're thinking about how can I get my organization AI ready, how can I get my people with the right knowledge and the right skills, these are absolutely good pillars to look into when implementing adoption of AI in your organization. This is one of my favorite sayings. If you take nothing else from this presentation, I would say absolutely it's this slide of don't fight the wave, ride the wave. Look at all of the changes and all of the technologies, not as something that is gonna obstruct you or challenge you, but as something that can help you, something that can help you do more and do things faster and do more of what you enjoy. Because at the end of the day, the AI is like electricity, you want to turn it on, you turn it on. If you want to put it in your computer, you put it in your computer. If you want to put it in a light, you put it in a light. If you want to turn it off, you turn it off. Same for the AI, if you want to turn it on, you turn it on. If you want to use AI in your computer, use AI in your computer. If you want to turn it off, you turn it off. So at the end of the day, it's just one more tool that you can use to ride this wave, to bring value for whatever you would want to do. And finally, exactly like I was saying, this is a key mindset for understanding adoption of AI in organizations. How can I use this tool for my benefit? How can it bring me value for myself as an individual, but also for my organization? Can it save me time? Can it make me more? Can it help me be more effective, get more done, accomplish more, complete projects, and so on and so forth? That value-driven approach really is a good North Star for implementing AI projects. Myth number 4, AI has peaked. So whatever AI we have today, that's the best one that we have. That's as good as it's gonna get. We train the models that we train, and that's the best that we're ever going to see. And the reality is, this is just the beginning. AI will continue getting better. The AI that we're gonna see today is the most basic AI that you're gonna see for the rest of your life. AI will continue evolving to get better and better. As we're seeing, AI can get smarter, it can perform better, AI can get faster, and it can also get cheaper. And this is a trend that we're seeing already for the past few years. If you look at 2021, 2022, the first GPT models that came out, well, they were kind of slow and they were pretty expensive and they were not very good at understanding content and instruction. And then fast forward a few years and you have models that are significantly faster to run and cheaper to run and are way more smarter. So this is a trend that we will absolutely continue seeing over the next few years. And this is good news. You know, if before you were using something and now you have to pay less for it and it's cheaper and you can use more of that, that's absolutely good news. You know, that's better tools that you have, faster tools that you have, and more affordable tools that you have at your disposal for achieving what you want to accomplish. And this was a very interesting realization for me, and something that I have heard, that is, don't bet, you know, your business, your career, your business strategy, etc., that AI will stay the same. Bet that it will improve or continue improving. This is almost another variation of don't fight the wave, ride the wave. Well, don't bet that it's going to stay the same. Bet that it will continue to improve. I see this a lot of times in startups. There are startups that say, hey, you know what? This AI model, it can do this, but it cannot do this or that. So let's build a startup company that will like fill these gaps, that is gonna do that for the model, because the model right now is not very smart. And then 1 year goes by and the model gets smarter, and then all of those startups go out of the window because the AI now has those capabilities. And then there is no need for those other AI startups. I think they say that every time OpenAI pushes a new feature, there is a whole wave of startups that become obsolete because now AI can do those things for them, and now AI, those companies therefore doesn't have as much business use cases to provide, and then therefore they become obsolete. This is something that you absolutely saw in the past few years and that you will continue seeing on the next few years. So if I have a piece of advice regarding this, it would absolutely be bet that AI will continue to improve and use that as a leverage. Use that as, okay, I know it's gonna get better, therefore I can continue using it more and more in more and more ways to drive us more value. The companies that adopt this mindset, that ride that wave, those are the companies that really gain a lot of benefits and a lot of value and stay up to date with all of the latest AI that's happening. So bet your business, your career, your strategy that AI will continue improving. And this is a very interesting paradox it brings us to, which is the Jevons paradox. It says, whenever there is a tech advance, whenever there is a tech improvement, a resource becomes more efficient. You know, AI becomes more efficient, therefore becomes more affordable. Like an AI now, it's way cheaper than it was 2 years ago. And somehow it gets used more. So if you look at 2 years ago versus now, the cost of AI is getting cheaper, lower and lower cost because it's more efficient. But the overall adoption, the overall demand is going up and up because now it's cheaper, because now more and more people want to use it, because now they can do more stuff. So, and this, we have already seen this in the past 2 years, and this is a trend that will continue, that the more something becomes more effective, it becomes lower cost and people want to use it more and more. And I'm expecting this trend to continue over the next few years. Myth number 5. It's best to have only AI. Or some other people say it's best to have only humans. When in reality, many, many times, what brings the most value is that collaboration between AI and humans. It's about understanding how roles are going to evolve. What tasks are best for AI and what tasks are best for humans? Maybe in the past, you can think about, say, the agricultural revolution or the industrial revolution. Maybe there were tasks that humans will do all of them. And then with the industrial revolution, you can say, well, now the machines are going to do some of these tasks, and now humans we're going to do some of all of these tasks. And that is actually overall a good thing because humans can do more and can produce more and can make more things. You don't see that many people nowadays complaining about the Industrial Revolution. People enjoy the Industrial Revolution because of the benefits that it brings. In a similar way, we're going to see an evolution of roles from these new capabilities of AI. So what are some tasks that maybe humans didn't enjoy as much that now AI can do? That now we can put together AI and humans collaborating for this. For instance, in programming, you might have heard of something called unit tests, which is tests to validate your code and make sure that everything works and test multiple case scenarios. I have not met in my life many programmers that, out of the love of their heart, just naturally enjoy doing QA and tests and validations. It's not something that a lot of people in general enjoy. And now, because of AI, you can say, well, you know what? You're still going to review it. You're still going to check it. You're still going to approve or deny or modify. But AI can be that an extra layer of protection, writing multiple tests, writing multiple use cases to validate that. And then it gets validated by a human. And then it gets validated by a person. So you can see here, we're not choosing one or the other. We're literally having multiple layers of security and validation to really make sure we get the best value. And this is something that applies to multiple use cases, that you might not be choosing this or that, but you have actually both of them working together, collaborating together to really get the most value out of a given use case. Now I wanted to mention, this is it for the myth. Now I'm going to mention to you some opportunities for AI. And I know we are now at almost at 30 minutes, so I am going to work on not taking too long for the rest of the presentation so that we have some time for Q&A as well. So I'm seeing several main categories for driving value with AI. And as a business leader, you might be thinking, well, that sounds great, but what can I use it for? What are the main opportunities? Where is the value? And here are some ideas to get you thinking. And again, if you can combine this general guidance with your specific knowledge, your specific subject matter expertise of a given industry or service or product, that's really the killer combination for driving value, for getting business value out of AI. We have opportunities for number 1, personal productivity, number 2, customer service, number 3, new workflows, and number 4, innovation. Personal productivity, imagine that you're working on a work deliverable, that you have to put together a report. There might be multiple tasks involved on it, from thinking about different ideas and different angles, to conducting research to gather information, to doing analysis for getting insights and conclusions from the data, to, over there it should say, my bad for the typo, over there it should say editing, for editing and final content creation. So all of these steps, a human can do it, but AI can augment those capabilities so that you can do it in a much more productive way, much faster, with better quality and more peace of mind. just this last week, I was working on something and I was able to say, hey, AI, help me understand different ideas for this. I'm thinking about this, but I want to also like think of anything else that I'm missing. And AI was able to give me several ideas. Some of them were not good. I had to go through them to, test them and consider them. But some of them were actually good. And I was able to get some new ideas that otherwise I had not considered. With research, I personally do not enjoy spending hours and hours browsing through different pages or looking at my folder and see that I have 100 different files and then I don't remember which one it was and then I have to click on one and click on the other and it has been like an hour and I'm still like clicking. It takes a lot of time. So having AI that can search through multiple files, whether that's the internet and websites or company data and information, and within minutes instead of hours find you the information that you're looking for, that really is a huge time saver and an efficiency driver. Same for analysis. I understand what I want. I understand when I would like to have analytics and maybe I want to do histograms. Maybe I want to understand to dash and slash the data and I understand that in my head. But if I were to do all of that from scratch, well, that can take a while. Versus if I can use AI to analyze things for me, to say, hey, here's the data. Can you give me an analysis? Can you give me the difference categories? Can you give me the standard deviation? And the AI can do that. And then it can show me the code to validate that and to prove that and to confirm that. And then I can go and say, oh, you know what? This is a good insight. I like this. Oh, you know what? This is not a good insight. I don't like that. That's really a time saver. And that's a huge efficiency that I can have on my workflow. And finally, for editing and writing, I'm not an expert writer. I'm the AI guy. I'm not the author or book writing guy. So I can write information and content, but then sometimes I want to check it. English is not my native language. Sometimes I want to get it reviewed and validate it and make sure that everything sounds well. And having AI looking at my content, giving suggestions, giving comments on what can it do, what can be better, that really helps me make sure that I have the quality that I want and that everything looks good and is ready to go. So this whole workflow that I'm showing you, this is not something that I'm saying in theory in my imagination. This is something that I literally do on a constant basis and that I see many other people and organizations do. And as a business leader, you can understand, well, I can do it myself and that can help me save me a lot of time and give me great results. But if you do it across your organization, imagine doing this across dozens or hundreds or thousands of people, you're really going to see an incredible increase in your productivity and in the value that you can produce from all of these activities, from having AI augmented humans in all of these ways. This is an example, but you can imagine how, in general, there are many, many ways that AI can increase personal productivity at many levels. Customer service is another big opportunity. If you're a business leader and you're thinking about, well, how can I optimize my customer service? How can I give my customers the best value, the best service with the best quality? AI is absolutely a key driver in this. We see as empowering agents, so you could have a customer service agent that right away gets insights from the AI of, well, look at this policy, or you can look at these records, or you can look at this information. So the agent doesn't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out on the spot what to do. He can really get an assistant to help him or her do everything that they're trying to do. Individual customization is a great category as well. So I'm sure you're familiar with the experience of your call number, and then you have to press 1 if you're looking for this department, and then you have to enter your phone number, and then you have to click 2 for your preference, and then it takes like 10 whole minutes trying to just enter manually every single thing. Versus if you have customer service that naturally understand your customers and what they want and what are their goals and what are their challenges, that can really improve the experience and the outcomes for your customers and for your businesses. And finally, the faster resolution. So you can get customer service completed faster, you can reach those outcomes faster, and you can give the most value to your customers. So as a business leader, if you're looking for opportunities for AI, customer service is absolutely a big field for improving, taking your business to the next level. Next, we have new workflows, which this one I'm basically going to summarize as what is possible now that was impossible before. Maybe the first two were things that we're doing today that we want to get better. Things that maybe before it took me 10 hours, now it can take me 1 hour. It's a similar objective, now it's just faster. With new workflows, that means what is something that is completely new, that there is no way we will do that before, that now we can do it. So we have organizations that say, hey, I have millions of historical records. I want to get insights from them, but there is no way I'm going to do that right now. There is no way I'm going to get humans to spend page by page looking at document by document trying to capture insights, because that's going to take forever and it's not feasible. With AI, now we can have workflows that in a very in a very automated way can look through millions of files and grab figures and context and informations and have all of that in an index to perform search, to retrieve documents and insights from user queries within milliseconds. All of that is not that is something that is faster or more efficient. It's that there was no way on earth that was going to get done before in the past. So companies just didn't do it. But now with AI, you can go from 0 to 1. You can take processes that before were too big or too complicated, and you can make them possible for your organization. So as a business leader, we're looking for opportunities for AI. If you think about new workflows, new things that now are possible thanks to these technologies, that we see is a big field for getting value from technology. And the last one is business innovation. So all of this is about AI leading to new products and services, time to insight to value, and a competitive advantage. So if you can use AI to say, hey, I understand my business, I understand the struggles, I understand what they want, and I can use AI to create something new, to create new solutions, new services, to get insights faster, to get to that impact faster, and to do that before my competitors. That is really going to be a differentiator for individuals and for companies. That is really going to distinguish the people and the organizations that can use AI the best way to really innovate the products, their services, and their discovery, to really differentiate themselves in the market and to drive the most value. Well, that's it for my presentation. Now we are going to go into the Q&A section, and I know we have some questions prepared, and then we might have some questions from the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel. Really fascinating presentation, and certainly a topic that I think many of us are spending time thinking about and engaging with. And obviously, the technology is powerful, and the innovation and potential for productivity in our work. So just thinking about a couple of questions for you before we open it up to the audience. You spent some time talking about the evolution of roles, for individuals, and I know this is probably a little bit far-fetched in terms of the time horizon, but maybe thinking out 5 years from now. I know in the pace of technology, thinking probably 10 years is like way too far away to kind of even imagine, but maybe even 5 years from now, how do you think AI is going to reshape roles, and what types of roles do you think are going to be maybe most vulnerable to changes in AI, and which ones will be most conducive to change?
Yeah, and that's a great question of what do I think? How do I see the evolution of different roles? And for this, there was a fantastic session by the CEO of LinkedIn about this topic, about the evolution of roles. And the way I see it is very similar to that, where you can see what are the tasks associated with a specific role and how those tasks are changing. So maybe before I say, imagine I'm coming from the technology software development role. Maybe before it would be like, well, my task number one is to make this plan. My task number two is to go to a sprint. My task number three is to start writing the code. My task number four is to write the test for the code. My task for number five is, so on and so forth through the software development lifecycle. Now with AI, it's not that the complete role or the complete position is gonna completely change, but it's like how are the tasks in that position changing and evolving. So maybe before I would have to manually research every single thing that I was going to add in a new feature. Well, now AI can help me summarize that feedback, summarize all of the input so that I have that information when making a new feature. Similarly for programming and coding, maybe before I would have to write every single thing from scratch and maybe I would make a mistake, so I would need to go back and validate it. Well, now we're going to see that AI can write files and code and part of the program. Still going to make mistakes, still going to get things here wrong here and there, but it can absolutely speed up the development in which I'm working on things. And even with testing and QA, still the human is going to review it and validate it and look into that. But the AI can provide new tests, new validations, new checks to really have that multiple layer checks. So you can see here, what I'm getting into is like, you can see here how it's not like the position completely goes here or there. It's like the different roles within the position evolve for new things.
Right.
So I will say,
Right.
in general, and this is just to give you one example with software development. There are other verticals and other industries. I will say if you can look at what AI is capable today and you can think of how can I use it to accomplish these goals? How can I use it to accomplish this business task, this business process? And I know this is general because again, there's many industries and many fields.
Right.
But if you can
Right.
have this general mindset of like, I want to learn to use AI to put it together with what I have, I think that's a very good approach for the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and so on.
Yeah. So I think some of what you're saying is the roles that people today, whatever role they have, whatever industry they're in, the um, generative AI and artificial intelligence is not necessarily going to be completely replace those roles, but it will augment those roles, make some of those roles easier, faster, or even modify those roles to change a little bit of how they perform them today. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. And this goes back to the other slide that I have of like what task do I want to use AI to help me with versus what task I really want to perform myself that really differentiate that. Another example is sales. AI can help you research your customers, research the industry, come up with proposals. But the moment I'm selling a product or a service, I don't want the AI to sell it with me because people don't want to buy from an AI. People don't
Right.
want to see a chatbot and be like, "Toot, hi, hello." A lot of people, especially in, if you look at B2B and in industry applications, they want to talk to another human. They want another human to be there with them, to show them,
Right.
hey, I'm here with you. I understand you. I understand your pain points. And that's a really human application that can really drive a lot of value. So you can see if you
Miguel,
think about where to use AI and when can I really do my own thing and really shine. I think that's a really good way to put those two together.
yeah, Miguel, in the second half of your presentation, you talked about kind of different ways that businesses could implement generative AI into their business, whether it's
Yeah.
personal productivity or customer service or new workflows or innovation. Um, I know at the Hartford, one of the things that we've used generative AI for is, we write workers' compensation insurance. And so when people get injured, oftentimes they need to submit medical records to our claims specialists. And sometimes those are written by doctors, and some of those can be very long and difficult to read. And so we're using generative AI to read those documents and summarize them for our claim handlers. And we get all of the same information out, but it takes away all of that time that the claims handler had to read the document. Are there, as you think about ways that you've interacted maybe with other companies, are there any other real life examples that you can share of how companies are are starting to actually use generative AI in their business models?
Absolutely. I can give you an example from an employee productivity perspective. Oftentimes, you might be working in a large corporation, so maybe you're new, and then you start looking at the information out there, and you have hundreds of internal web pages and then PDFs and then recordings, and just trying to find the right information can be intimidating. I have personally experienced this working at different large corporations. So there is AI today that you can say, hey, I'm looking for this specific product for this specific group. Can you give me any contacts or any links to documentation? And within seconds, it's able to search the whole company, the whole intranet, and find you. This person is in charge of this. You can reach out to them, or here is the website that contains like the guidance and the different regulations for you, and so on and so forth. For me personally, that has been a huge lifesaver, being able to navigate all of that complexity with AI helping me.
Okay. So we're gonna pivot. I have more questions, but I want to make sure that the audience gets a chance. We do have one comment that was made, and it talks about skills, and the comment is, make sure to find the right use cases. AI is meant to make the customer experience better, not harder. Use AI to upskill your number one assets, your people. And so maybe you could just talk a little bit about, you know, how are companies, or should companies upskill their people on generative AI?
Absolutely. And I will first say that this is not easy because AI is advancing so quickly.
Yeah.
You have people that are in charge of skilling that oftentimes they tell me it's hard to catch up. It's hard to teach when it's hard to just know what happens every single day. So there are absolutely challenges with this. And from the comment, I really like the part of use AI to upskill your number one assets, your people, because there is tremendous potential for AI in education. So if there is, three different news of AI every day, you can have AI systems that say, I'm going to look through all of the web, I'm going to find the top key findings, and I'm going to give it to you in a summarized way, spend 1 minute reading it, and that's it. That applies for AI, that applies across other domains. I know you mentioned medicine. Every year there is so many like medical journals and papers published that it's hard for doctors to catch up. So if you have AI that can help you bring the important information, summarize it, you can still go look at the document. You can still read the original to verify it, but it really helps you save time for doing all of that. That really is a big time saver. So absolutely, AI is great for understanding everything that's happening today. And then I would say number two, AI can be a great teacher, especially some of the latest models that we have today, like the O3 model from OpenAI. Maybe you're new to coding. You can grab some code and you can be like, AI, can you explain this to me in very simple terms? And AI is going to say like, well, the front end is like the server that brings you the food, and the back end is like the kitchen that prepares the food. So at some point, the chef and the server meet to give you the dish, whatever analogy you want, they will explain that to you in a very simple way. So I will say 100% AI is a great choice for helping people learn new things.
Again, if there are any comments, please send them in, or questions. Oftentimes, Miguel, as we're using generative AI or implementing it in our businesses, we run into what you know of as hallucinations. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about how we should think about hallucinations. And I know earlier you talked about security and compliance, and as a part of being AI ready. But what are your thoughts on hallucinations, and how the audience should think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is absolutely one of the things that if you can address it, if you can prepare and be ready for that, you will absolutely be in a good position to deploy AI systems in production. Because hallucination is definitely a risk, but there are definitely tools that you can use for mitigating this risk. So anywhere from number one, prompt engineering and the prompt. So this is the instructions that you give the model. You can prompt it to be like, only follow this, only talk about this, say do not know if you're not sure. Prompt is a good first step. Number two is grounding the model. So there is something called retrieval augmented generation, which is like the model is going to generate things based on information that you give it. So you can say, I'm going to give you a file or an information for you to respond. And if it's outside of that file, say you don't know or do not respond. Do not say anything else other than what is in the file that I give you. That's a good grounding technique. Number three is human validation, especially in high stakes scenarios like medical domains. The AI might be able to summarize things or like bring insights, but then for a lot of applications, there is always a doctor or a medical provider that will validate it, that will read it, that will verify that it's correct. So
Right.
human in the loop. And then number four, you could have other filters and monitoring. So we have many applications where you can say, hey, model, only work on this specific topic, only work on this. And then if someone tries to get the model to use other unintended use cases, you can literally have a monitoring layer that is going to say, no, this is not related, or no, this is not getting out of hand. So therefore you block that request because someone is trying to mess with the model. So you can see that by having multiple layers, you can ensure your application is well grounded.
Good. Good. There's another question, and this one's an interesting one, about creating a culture of responsible AI across your organization, and even the new Pope Leo referenced in his first remarks about responsible use of generative AI. And so, curious about how should leaders, how should organizations create a culture of responsible use of generative AI?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic comment. Like I always say, generative responsible AI is successful AI. Responsible AI is successful AI. Because you can have the most powerful AI, but if it's not working well, or it's not stable, or if it's not reliable, or it's not working for some people, it is going to fail. It is not going to perform accordingly. There are multiple, as you can see, when you talk about compliance, security, and responsibility, there is always multiple layers to really make sure that you have everything in place that is needed. Specifically, I like the mention of non-technical teams because, like I was saying earlier, many times if you have people who understand the problem, who understand the solution, who understand the use case, those are the people that can really bring a lot of value. And usually those are the people that can validate the outcomes to be responsible. Those are the people that really have the power to say, hey, this is correct, this is not correct, this is not working with those people. Back to the medical example, there can be people who know the AI they can run validations and the training and the testing. But at the end of the day, you can have a medical provider say, hey, this is not working for this patient, or this is not correct for this specific demographic. So I will say it's everyone's responsibility. And if you can have those subject matter experts validating the outcomes, validating the results, that they are accurate and correct and fair and explainable, I think that's really a great vector for ensuring that across the organization.
Yeah, that's great. The next question. This is a good one too, especially since this is a Prospanica event. The Latino market is the fastest growing population and economic engine in the United States, and certainly will continue to be over the next 5 to 10 years. What's the intersection there between the Latino population and generative AI, and how can that segment of the population unlock the value and the benefits of Gen AI, maybe specifically for that group? Is there anything that you would call out?
Yeah. That's such a fantastic question, and that's something that really inspired me, the potential of AI for breaking barriers and lowering gaps. Of course, as you know, in society, there are multiple gaps. Put it in healthcare. There is the social determinants of health. Access to doctor, access to health coverage, access to family that can take you to the doctor and care for you. These are things that really affect your health, and some communities might have those things, some communities might not have those things. Maybe you go to the doctor and you speak English and the doctor speaks English and they can see you. Maybe you go to the doctor and you don't speak English. Maybe my family is Hispanic, so maybe you speak Spanish, but the doctor doesn't speak Spanish, so therefore it's you are not able to see the doctor. That's a big barrier. And if you
Yeah.
can use AI to lower these barriers, to improve the access and the outcomes, well, that's a huge opportunity for bringing value to everyone, including communities that didn't previously have that. So if you can
Right.
say AI is going to help you translate real time in English to your doctor, or maybe like understand your medical benefits and what you have access for, and what prescriptions you can get in what pharmacy. If you can use AI to have access to all of that information, I think that will be a huge value driver, and for our Hispanic community and for everyone really that needs it.
Right. Yeah. Anyone that needs translation type services, it's certainly a tool that can be used for that.
Yeah, and even sometimes English to English. I'm like,
Yes.
it's supposed to
Yeah.
be English, but that's medical language, so I don't. That's like, that's
Right.
like another language.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to my example of
Yeah,
medical record summarization, right? Sometimes trying to understand what doctors are saying. If
yeah,
the generative AI can do that,
yep, exactly.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's absolutely a great. Miguel, I think we're closing in on time. Certainly want to thank you for spending, an hour with the Prospanica organization, for the knowledge you've displayed, for addressing and answering the questions, and harnessing generative AI in leadership is certainly a topic that I think all of us um, are going to be dealing with as we lead and run businesses over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, certainly. Want to also thank Prospanica National for hosting this event this afternoon and evening. And thank you to all of you, and Miguel, especially to you, for spending time with us. And thank you to all of you who are participating in our 2025 virtual leadership series. We look forward to continuing the journey with you on future webinars. So thank you very much. Thanks, Miguel. Appreciate it.